Hello everyone, welcome you all. This is Dr. Bharat Kumar Rajak, the Faculty of Economy. And today we are going to begin with a very important topic of the economy and which is being asked by all the time, and this is one of the most favorite topic of the UPSC. Either we are talking in the prelim or in the mains examination, or whenever we are going for the personality test, the most important sector from where the interviewer asks the question, that is today we are going to discuss. So we are begin with the topic called inflation. What the inflation is, how it creates in the economy. So we are going to discuss from the very root level on, and from here कि inflation means when the general price level now what the general price level means. So general price level in the economy means the prices of all goods and services in the whole country, or we can say that it is the average prices of all goods and services which are available in any nation. So the price of all goods and services in the economy is termed as general price. So general price is different from the price. When I'm talking about the price, that means the price of a single commodity. But when I'm writing over here the general price, that means the prices of all goods and services in the whole country. So when the general price level increases at sustained rate, or when the general price level increases at sustained rate, means gradually at an average rate, and simultaneously the purchasing power of money decreases. So when this phenomena takes place in the economy, one side the prices of all goods and services are increasing continuously at sustained rate, and a part of that the purchasing power of money starts decreasing. So this is called inflation in the economy. This is called inflation in the economy. Let me clear this concept with the help of a single example. Earlier, I was going into the market and buying any particular commodity of rupees 1000. But when I'm saying that the general price level are increasing continuously, so that the prices of that particular commodity would also increase. So earlier the price of any commodity was rupees 1000, but when the sustained prices are increasingly at sustained rate in the economy, that means the price of that commodity would go 1000 to 1200, 1500, 2000, 5000, 7000, 8000, 10,000, 15,000. That means what? The general price level increases at sustained rate. Before I was going into the market and buying any commodity of rupees 1000, now that the same commodity would become of the price of 10,000. So would I be able to purchase that commodity with that 1000 rupee? No. That means the purchasing power of the money has fallen down. So this is called the purchasing power of money. So that means in a very simple way, any commodity which were available in the market of rupees 1000, now it is not available of rupees 1000, its prices has been gone up, then this phenomena or this situation in the economy is called inflation. And now we are going to talk how this inflation happened in the economy. What are the different factors on the basis of which the inflation would affect the economy of any country? So there is a particular term called money supply. Money supply. What money supply is? Money supply means the total amount of money held in the whole country at this point of time is called money supply. Like the money which is available in your pocket right now, that is called your money supply. The money which is available in my pocket right now, this is my money supply. So the money, the total quantum of money which is available in the whole nation at this point of time, so this is called the money supply of the country. And this is also denoted by a very important term in the economy, and that is called liquidity. That is called liquidity. So what the money supply is, so what the liquidity is, the total quantum of money available in the whole country. So if the money supply in the whole country increases, if the money supply in the whole country increases, that means what? The people would have more money in their pockets. When the people would have more money in their pockets, their demand would start increasing. Their demand would start increasing. Now let's assume if the demand of all the people in the whole nation increases continuously, that means the general prices will shoot up in the economy. So the main reason behind the inflationary situation in the economy is money supply. In the later part of this chapter, we will discuss there are two kinds of inflation. One is called demand pull inflation, another one is called cost push inflation. So one is demand sided inflation, another one is supply sided inflation. So we would also talk in very detail what are the different factors which are there which leads to the demand pull inflation, and what factors are leading towards the cost push inflation. So we would talk in very detail कि demand pull inflation and cost push inflation are occurring in any nation because of which factors, right? So we talked what the inflation is and how does it creates in the economy. And now there is a very simple point. If we need to control the inflation in the economy, if the general price level are rising regularly at constant rate, so it must be controlled. So in our economy, the inflation is controlled by RBI and by Government of India. So both RBI as well as the Government of India control inflation in the economy. When I'm talking about the RBI, so RBI with the help of monetary policy, and I said government also controls it. So government with the help of fiscal policy. So RBI with the help of monetary policy and government with the help of fiscal policy control the inflationary situation, or we can say that control the money supply in the economy. And when the RBI and the government control money supply in the economy and control inflation in the country, so that phenomena or by reducing money supply, that phenomena is called disinflation in the nation. So this is called disinflation. So what the economy is and what we are learning in economy and what kind of questions are being asked in the examination. So economy is totally based on the terminology and what is happening with that particular terminology in the current scenario. So once you guys would be able to develop this concept, so economy would be the easiest subjects for you. And now you know that it is one of the toughest subjects for you, but I'll definitely make it very easy, right? So the RBI and the government decreases money supply for controlling inflation in the nation, and this is called disinflation. So you guys learn another term that is called disinflation, right? So this whole phenomena is called inflation in the nation. So we have discussed what the inflation is. and how it creates in the economy and what the RBI and government are doing for controlling the inflation, we simply learned by reducing money supply. But we didn't learn how the money supply is being controlled by the RBI and the government. We just talked RBI is having monetary policy and the government is having fiscal policy. And what are the instruments of the monetary policy, what are the instruments of the fiscal policy, how it impacts, how it creates the situation like money supply would start reducing, either the money supply would start decreasing. So we will talk about these concepts in very detail, purely which are exam oriented and purely which is demanded by the examiner, right, in the preliminary examination, in the mains examination. Now, so the opposite of whole discussion, what we have discussed here, if we are just looking the vice versa of the same discussion, then we call it deflation in the economy. Then we call it deflation in the economy. So what is deflation? What is deflation? Deflation means when the general price, that is the average price of all goods and services in the whole economy, decreases at sustained rate and purchasing power of money increases. That means what? When I was going into the market and buying any commodity of rupees 1000, but nowadays the general prices start decreasing, that means the same commodity which was available at rupees 1000, now its price starts reducing. So 1000 will become 800, 700, 500, 400, 250 rupees. So the first statement I think is clear. The commodity of 1000 will become 50 rupees. That means the general price level decreases. And the commodity which need to buy at rupees 1000 is available only of rupees 50. That means the purchasing power of money in the economy increases. So this is called deflation in the country. And very simple, how would it occur in the economy and when would it occur in the economy? When there is less money supply. If there is less money supply in the economy, the people would have less money in their pockets, as a result of which their demand decreases, and as a result the prices would go down. So, and how it is being controlled by the RBI and the government? By increasing money supply, and the very important term, when the RBI and government increases money supply for controlling deflation, this phenomena is called reflation in the economy. So in this session you guys learn a lots of important term: the inflation, the disinflation, money supply, liquidity, reflation, the different terms. So we have just discussed what the inflation is, how it is occurring in the economy, and what the deflation is and how it occurs in the economy. Now in the next part of this topic we would discuss the impact of inflation on the economy, and we would discuss in detail the very subjective matter of this subject or of this topic. What would be the different impacts on the inflationary or the deflationary situation in the economy, and we would learn inflationary situation is much better than the deflationary situation in the economy. Or we can say that in a very simple words, inflation is good for the country, but deflation is not at all good for the country. So let me talk what the inflation and deflation is affecting the economy, or in what would be the result of or outcome of the inflation and deflation, right? Now, so we would discuss this with the help of the trade cycle, or we also called it the business cycle. So this is the topic which we are going to discuss, the impact of inflation on economy. So here there is a situation in the economy where the aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. Here the AD is equal to AS. Aggregate demand, the demand of all the people of the country. Aggregate supply, that supply of all the producers in the country. So there are two sections, two sector models in the economy. One is called the consuming sector or the household sector, and another one is the producing sector or the industrial sector. So there was some issue in the technical side of the camera and all. So we are going to discuss the impact of the inflation on the economy. So we were discussing about there is a AD, that is aggregate demand, and AS is the aggregate supply. So we were discussing there are two sector models in the economy. One is called the consuming sector, that is household. Another one is the producing sector, that is industrial sector, right? So in one of the topic we would discuss also what is the relationship between the consuming sector and the producing sector, how they are helping each other, what are the different flows between these two sectors. But here we are going to discuss the impact of the inflation, right? So this is the situation of AD is equal to AS, where we can say that the aggregate demand of the whole nation is equal to the aggregate supply of the whole nation, right? Now, so what the trade or business cycle is and how does it shows the different impact on the economy. So we would discuss here. So this is the trade or business cycle. This phase of the economy is called boom, or this is called peak. And now when the economy is going down, this is called recession. This is called recession. And this phase is called depression. The critical recession is called depression, right? And when I'm going up, so this is called recovery. This is called recovery, right? So let me tell one thing. These are the different phases in the economy, and this is also called trough. This is also called trough. Look, if there is AD is equal to AS, AD is equal to AS, and when I'm talking about the boom or peak situation in the economy, so definitely aggregate demand would be more than aggregate supply. And why it is so? Why it is so? Because there is more liquidity in the nation, there is more money supply in the country. That's why the aggregate demand is more than the aggregate supply. And now here at the trough or the depression situation, the aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply. Why? There is less money supply in the economy. So I'm going to show you another phase of inflation. Another phase of inflation means the another side of inflation. Look, if there is AD is greater than AS, that means the people of the whole nation are demanding more and they are supplying less. That means if the demand is more and the supply is less, that means this is simply nothing but inflationary phenomena in the economy. So this is inflationary phenomena in the economy. And now what would be here? If the demand is less, the supply is more, that means what? The people are not demanding any commodity because their pockets are not allowing that, because they do not have any liquidity with them. So that's why there is a situation called deflation. There's a situation called deflation in the economy. So here we would discuss about the impact of inflation and deflation, right? Now move into the another or the deeper level of this discussion, what the inflation or deflation affecting and how it affecting the economy. Look, if there is more demand and less supply in the economy, the people are demanding more, that means what? If the people are demanding more, that means the stocks with the producer would start decreasing. If the people would demand more of a commodity, the stocks with the producer would start decreasing, and this is called decumulation in the nation. So there is another term called decumulation. So decumulation means when the stocks with the producer are decreasing because of the high demand in the nation. And why this high demand is there? Because of more liquidity, more money supply in the country, right? Look, if there is a decumulation kind of situation in the nation, that means what? That means the products is having more demand. That means producer would start producing their commodity. That means we can say that production level in the economy would go high. Production level in the economy would go high. If the production in the economy would go high, that means the GDP level would be high. If there is the situation where the GDP is rising, that means there would be more economic growth in the country. There would be more economic growth in the country. That means what? Inflation is good for the country, because during inflation there is more production, more GDP, more economic growth. And if I am the producer and I need to increase my production, so very simple, I'll have to demand for more labor in the company. That means the employment level would also rise. If the employment level rise, then the income level of the people would also increase. And this is the impact of inflation over economy. Now tell me, is inflation is good or bad for the country? Because during inflation the employment is rising, the income is rising, and the standard of living of the people would also rise. So inflation is good for the nation, but with terms and conditions apply. So what are these terms and conditions? So I told you that inflation is good for the country, but terms and conditions apply. So what are these terms and conditions? I'll discuss in this chapter in the next part of this class, right? So similarly, the impact of deflation, you guys were thinking, wow, deflation is a very wonderful situation. This camera costs rupees 2 lakh would be available at only 5,000 at the time of deflation. You are saying, wow, the government is doing great, the prices are decreasing. Now look at the economic point of view. Okay, if there is deflation in the economy, so how does it impact the economy? So when there is a deflation, that means the people are not having money in their pockets, their demand is less, and as a result the stocks in the economy would start rising, and this is called accumulation in the nation. So this is called accumulation. If there is lots of stocks available in the country, that means the producer would start producing less of the goods, so production level starts declining, and as a result GDP decline and the economic growth decline. And I am the producer and I need to decrease my production, so definitely I'll say some of my employee don't come from tomorrow. That means the employment level would reduce. Employment level would reduce, as a result the income also starts declining, and the standard of living of the people would get hampered. So this situation in the economy is called the very bad, because the people starts losing their job, they don't have money to feed, right? So overall the inflationary situation is good than the deflationary situation at all. Now we are going to discuss the very important term, that is recession. You heard this term many times, the recession, and you heard, and so many times maybe you said there is lots of recession in the country, I'm not getting the job. Or you heard somewhere sometime So why the people starts losing their job during recession? And what would be the condition of economy during recession? So simple, recession means when the money supply starts reducing gradually or at a very sustained rate. So when the money supply in the economy starts falling, that means the people would not have so much money in their pockets. So as a result, their demand starts declining slowly. And as a result, the production starts declining, and hence the employment status would be declining as well. So this is called recession. Or recession is simply means what? The recession is the phase in that economy when we are moving from inflation to depression. So the in between way is called recession. So recession is that phase where the money supply starts decreasing and going into the depression is called recession. And when we are talking about depression, that simply means deflation or draw, when there is the money supply becomes vanished. The people are not having money in their pockets. They are not demanding. The Great Depression of 1939. Now, what is recovery? Now, at the depression or the deflation level, the RBI with the help of monetary policy, the government with the help of fiscal policy, in later in the last part of this class, we would discuss nowadays the RBI's role in the monetary policy has been reduced, because the government has set up the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, the 6-member committee. Out of these 6 members, 3 from the RBI, 3 from the government. So we would discuss in detail what the MPC is, what is the structural composition of the MPC. Now, so this recovery means what? When the RBI with the help of monetary policy, government with the help of fiscal policy increases money supply and coming towards the boom or the inflation, this is called recovery. So in simple words, when the money supply starts reducing in the country, recession. When the money supply starts increasing in the economy, is called recovery. So this is called the impact of inflation or deflation over economy, and this is called how we can say that the inflationary situation is much better than the deflationary situation. So there is another term called stagflation. So this is the most important term in the economy, the stagflation. Now what the stagflation is? What does it means? Stagflation means it is a very technical situation of the economy. So what is stagflation? Let me tell you. Look, there is a situation of inflation. There is a situation of recession, and what is there? The inflation and recession exist together. So this is called stagflation. So stagflation is that phase in the economy where inflation and recession exist together. Where inflation and recession exist together, that's called stagflation. So stagflation is that particular situation in the economy where inflation and recession is existing together, is called stagflation. I can also say that the same concept with different terminologies or with different words. What I can say that stagflation is a situation where the general prices are rising, but the employment status reducing in the nation. Look, few minutes before I said that when there is more money supply, when the price are rising in the economy, so there would be more employment in the nation. I said inflation and employment are having the positive relation with each other. If the inflation is rising, the employment would also rise. But here during stagflation, I'm contradicting my point and I'm saying that it is that a technical situation in the economy कि inflation is there but employment is not there. The general prices are rising up but the employment status going down. This is called the stagflation. I can also say that stagflation is that situation in the economy where both the general prices and the unemployment level rises, increases, shooting up. Both the inflation and the unemployment would be there in the nation. It's called stagflation. In different words, I can also say that during stagflation, the rate of increasing prices is more than the rate of employment or the rate of economic growth. I can also say that in the stagflation, the rate of increasing prices is much more than the rate of economic growth. As I said, if there is inflation, the economic growth would be there. But when I'm talking about in a very subjective manner about the stagflation, I can say that stagflation is a very complicated phenomena or situation in the economy where the rate of increasing prices is much more than the rate of economic growth. So this is called the impact of inflation over nation. And I concluded that inflation is much better than deflation. So in the next part, I would also discuss the impact of inflation or the winners and the losers of inflation. Who is get benefited during inflation, who is getting suffered during inflation, and how the inflation is being measured in the country, the consumer price index, the wholesale price index, the GDP deflator. So we would discuss in detail about these terminologies, about these concepts of the economy. We would discuss in detail the different instruments of the monetary policy, the different instruments of the fiscal policy. We would discuss in detail the impact of the monetary and the fiscal policy on economy. We would discuss in detail what kind of budgetary phenomena would be there using by the government during inflationary or the deflationary situation. So that's all for this video. Have a nice and wonderful time. Goodbye. Jai Hind.